Welcome, everyone, to the regularly scheduled July meeting of the Southampton Village Planning Board, public hearing. If everybody could silence their cell phones, I'd appreciate it. If I could have a motion to open the meeting, I would also appreciate that.
I'll make a motion to open the meeting.
I'll second it.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 First item on the agenda is a tennis court submission from Chris Casciato, 177 Captain's Neck Lane, which was introduced at the previous work session. Any further comments, Kath?
The drainage plan looks fine, and landscaping looks fine, with the exception of they're leaving it open on the western property line, which appears to be okay as long as that hedge remains. So I wanted to just get out there and check that hedge before, give a recommendation before I get out there today.
Is the applicant able to provide you with a list of the species?
Yes, I have those.
That hedge doesn't exist. That hedge is going to be transplanted from the existing hedge.
Okay. And so we'll have to look at the hedge as well.
That's fine.
Okay, all right, so I'll look at that, hopefully I can get there after the meeting today,
Okay.
and get in there. The house isn't built, right? Or
The
the house is built at this point?
it's an open lot. Just looks
Okay.
just like that. But there is a gate that closes it,
Okay,
but you could see through still.
okay. And if
Alrighty.
I need to get in, I'll call you.
Sure.
Okay,
You
thank
can
you.
call my office.
Okay. Yeah, okay. If everything's in order, I think we can. But I'll have to let you know in the next week or so.
Okay. Scott Olson.
Scott, if that's acceptable to you, we will review the situation, and if everything meets Kathy's approval, we will make a decision at the next meeting.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
I guess we would need a motion to
Make
adjourn.
that clear that that'd be the next public hearing.
Right. A motion to adjourn at the request of the applicant to the next meeting.
I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the 471 Ox Pasture Road.
177 Captain's Neck Lane.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
In the public hearing section of the agenda, Cowles Associate, 477 Little Plains Road.
Hello,
Hey, John.
how are you? I think we just owe you some map changes. Kathy wanted a legend on the map so that anyone who, if they would know that prior to the lots going into the control, separate control, that pool would have to be removed, either removed and put onto one of the lots or made to conform. And there were some other minor things, but I guess with that, I would, respectfully request that you close the hearing. I don't think there was any, unless there's someone here to comment. I think we just owe you map changes. This was
John, that would be a covenant.
okay, however you want it. Yep. That's what the understanding was.
Yes.
But I would ask that you close. And remember, this is because there were two lots that were there's no health department approval needed on this one, so we're just going to file it as a miscellaneous map in the county clerk's office because these were two lots in the 1980-81 tax map. The zoning board of appeals gave relief to unmerge the lots, so we're here just to get your final approval on that. And I would ask that you close the hearing unless somebody has something to say, and we'll get you the map revisions that Kathy and Bo requested.
To this point, there has been no public comment on this application. I'm asking if there is any public comment to be made at this point from anybody in the audience.
Oh, before I forget, there is one private agreement that I have to work out with Ms. Riley's client, but that doesn't pertain to anything that you guys would be doing. I just wanted to, I saw Linda here, I just wanted to let Linda know that we'll make that public statement so that there's no question we're going to do that. So, but in any event, yeah, if you could close the hearing, that would be great.
Just, I think to correct the record, though, there was someone that spoke
At the last,
June meeting, is that correct?
Oh, that's right.
Sorry, I
My
wasn't
associate
sure.
was here. She said there was an employee of
Neighbor.
one of the neighbors
Right. Yes.
who didn't, I could be wrong, but didn't have any comments other than, well, if I think it was paraphrased, if they're going to do this, then we'll do it. And your response was, okay, make an application. I think that was, yeah.
but the actual neighbors have not been here.
No, when we went to
Caretaker for the.
we went to the zoning board of appeals, and there was no public comment on that at the zoning board of appeals meeting. I mean, other than Ms. Riley had some comments, I think, but then we worked that out. So, as I had alluded to before.
I believe you.
Yeah, we asked the
opportunity.
representative to come forward and submit an official position or statement.
There has not been.
So again, unless there's something in the record which I wasn't able to find, or something from that person, I would again ask you that you close it.
Well, can I just say a few things? We had a memo dated April 30th.
Yeah.
And then there are a number of comments that relate to creating this as a final plat, because originally it was submitted as a sketch plan.
Is that me?
And there were just a number of comments related to taking a sketch plan, or they called it a redivision of this property, into a final plat. So,
Oh, we should just back up a little. You can leave this there. You just have to back up a little.
just one comment,
Good.
just that the memo that is in the planning board file was created as a PDF, and it came out as page 3 of 3, which is blank, so everybody knows. I had Jackie replace that, just so everybody knows, so it's not confusing. But there's just a 2-page memo, and it has very kind of just, procedural type comments. So, no reason not to close the public hearing, I guess, unless Bill has.
Comments are, how many are there? Do you want to read them?
The comments have to do with labeling the map as final plat, showing the location of fire hydrants in the area, and that those would have to be commented by the fire department or fire marshals. The planning board had discussed waiving that you do not need to have the contours within 200 feet, and that it had all the other criteria. And then there were notations on the map, for the signature of the chairman and the
Right.
surveyor. So those are the only comments.
No comment then.
Okay. So are we going to, can we vote to close for all purposes, or is it going to be
Correct.
specifically? Okay.
Close for all purposes.
And this is on 477.
Right.
So I'll make a motion to close for all purposes the Cal's Associate LLC, 477 Little Plains Road application.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
The second item on the agenda, Southlink Properties 104 Gin Lane, we voted at the work session to adjourn at the request of the applicant to the July work session. So that would bring us to the Mitchell Family Real Estate at 180 Great Plains Road.
Good evening. For the applicant, Gilbert G. Flanagan, 21 South Main Street. I think at the last time this matter was discussed at the public hearing, there were no open issues. I think that what you wanted to do was to have your consultants review the file and see if we could move forward with it. So I have nothing further to add. There was a memo done by Nelson Pope and Voorhees that requested some additional information on the map, which I think we've supplied. So I think unless you have any other questions, we'd like to close this and move forward toward a decision.
Okay. Is there Anybody in the audience who wishes to make a comment on this application? In view of the fact there's no further comment, might I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I will make a motion to close, for all purposes, the Mitchell Family Real Estate LP, 180 Great Plains Road.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I was sitting in the back of the room, so I didn't fully hear. Did you acknowledge that we were adjourning South Lane Properties, which was my...
We did.
Good, okay, because I did submit a letter. I have extra copies of that letter, in case you want them. Thank you.
Joy, I'm gonna bow out here and trade places with Pat Cleary.
Okay.
This one.
Moses Bishop LLC, 132 McGee Street.
For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill, New York. This is an application, as the board knows, for a 11-unit condo facility that's directly south of the current Bishop Pond development. This board has issued a negative declaration. The zoning board has approved the change from one non-conforming use to the other. We have made one change to our plan. We're going from 11 units to 10 units. We're reducing by a unit. The structure itself won't change. This unit in particular that's changing, there are actually 2 units that were originally proposed. It's now becoming 1 unit. So we're just reducing it by a unit. And no real other structural changes. We've been
Just the way the interior is being sliced up?
yeah, or not sliced up, as it were. We've made
So do we get new maps?
we have these are new that I received them today. I can submit them to you today, or I can bring them into the building department and you can review them. Then I know that Mr. Cleary has suggested several changes. I think we've made all of those. So I'd request that, pending hearing from anybody in the audience, that we close the public hearing and move forward.
Pat?
First opportunity to hear from the public. Just to confirm, that footprint of that building changes in no way. Setbacks remain identical. That's fine. There was one minor change that you spoke of at the work session the other day regarding the driveway curb cut that's throat to that entrance. That has been modified on the plan satisfactorily. I saw that via email Thursday. I haven't seen that in the revised plan
I'll give
package
you
yet.
a full
So
set.
that revised plan package needs to be submitted to you.
I'll give him a set tonight and then submit yours to the building department tomorrow. Thank you.
Does anybody in the audience wish to make a comment?
Yes, I'm Jim Sanford, and I and my sister Sally Johnson co-own the property at 120 McGee Street, which abuts this property. Just really a couple of quick questions. Number one, I think was just answered. This is additional. These are going to be additional buildings in recently purchased property that was not part of the original development. It's been going out for a while. Is that right? So it's south, okay. And the other question is, are there any variances, and how far away from our property must the buildings be, and any sidewalks and anything else?
Yeah, there were variances granted for this application.
And what would
Have you seen the plan yet?
No, I haven't. We just got in town.
Okay.
I guess the question is, how far from the back of our property will there be construction?
Can you tell us exactly where you are?
120 McGee Street. We're in front of that property.
So this is McGee, and that sort of
Yes.
neck into the property? So this is you?
That's us.
Okay. So that distance, the shortest distance between your
Right.
rear property line and the back of the nearest building is nearly 28 feet.
All right. Okay? 20. Okay, thank you very much.
Anybody else seek to make a comment? If you could approach the lectern, please.
Hi, I'm Bruce Dinsmore, and we own 104 South McGee Street, directly to the south. So I've never seen this plan either, so could I take a look? Sorry to make you do that.
Not at all. I'm good at folding. Pick that up and down.
I'm Joan Worthing, his wife.
And that's
We're
the edge
here.
of what's being built now?
This is us, right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So we're
Dinsmore Worthing.
30 feet here. This was the same road as the original plan. I did see this once before, but before they changed it.
Right, that's the loop of the road. That'll
This
be
is
a,
still all part of Beechwood?
it'll be the second
It's not
phase of
different-
that project.
It's not a different company? 'Cause it's
Same
not that
company.
way. Okay, so it is the same. I can see.
I'm assuming they're having some landscaping to surround it.
Yes, the answer is yes.
Do you know if they have fencing or just,
There are retaining walls and landscaping. And there's
Okay.
fencing on top of the retaining walls.
I've let our fence fall apart because it was really 12 feet onto our land, so we reclaimed a little bit of land while they have.
it was a pit, so we couldn't put our fence where our land line was.
I don't think I have the landscaping plan
Okay.
with me.
The pit has been
Oh.
filled up with quite a bit of land,
Yes,
though.
yes, so we
Oh,
have
no,
like
we
this much
lived there.
land in some spots
Oh.
that's now ours. Our fence is here or it's fallen down, and we haven't bothered to put it back because we figure
We could
they're gonna
put-
have stuff.
We could put the fence on, well, is there fill theoretically?
Yeah.
And if they do enough, I'm not gonna bother it.
Yeah, I don't have the landscaping
Yeah.
plan, but there is landscaping around the entire perimeter of the property, so you will have a
Okay.
buffer.
Rooney, do you have a copy of the landscape plan?
I'm looking for it now.
Okay.
I don't have one with me, but I'll take their information and get them a copy of the landscape plan.
Do you know whether or not what's there? Is there a wall and a fence and landscaping, or
Not off the top of my head.
Kathy, do you know?
Calls for a wood fence around the perimeter. What sheet is it? It's the 3 of 8. Unless I'm wrong, that says wood fence, post typical, correct? Unless I'm reading that wrong, that's calling for a new fence, correct?
This is a post.
Yeah, I think that's referring to to their fence, that's
To
a
their
disrepair on their property.
This is a retaining wall that goes, they're to the south?
Yes.
You have, all of our landscaping is north of the south retaining wall.
Correct. It's on our side of the property.
Right.
So this is the retaining wall here, so you'll have landscaping north of that, there'll be,
Yeah, we made sure to landscape it so that it's properly buffered, so that there's a clear separation.
similar to what's happening at the ponds currently.
So I think, Mr. Chairman, the question would be, is a fence necessary or not? And we'd have to take a look and see the condition of the existing fence, and I haven't really given that consideration, so we have to take a quick look at that.
So the retaining wall is going to be higher than their grade?
Well, it actually depends on the neighbor, because about halfway across the property, the retaining wall starts to be, our property starts to be lower than the neighbors. And so imagine our property's flat,
No.
and the land behind us goes like this. So from pretty much this point to the east, the retaining wall's on our property. And as you get from the middle point to the west, our property is actually higher than the neighbor's property.
Okay. And then, in that case, if the wall is higher, are you doing something to, so they're not looking at what type of retaining wall is it?
It's a precast block retaining wall. It's the same product we used at Bishop's Pond.
Stuff you got piled up there now, ready to
Yes.
go. How much is the elevation above our property?
I'm not sure which property is yours.
Right there, Dinsmore.
So you're about 28 feet, and as you get to the edge of your property, the top of the retaining wall is 30 feet in this particular spot right here. So at that point, that's that transitional area
Yeah,
that,
that's behind the house, right? This
That's
goes
the-
uphill. I don't really care what goes up there. It could be 10 feet higher, but here, if it's substantially
It's
higher.
almost
then
zero. No, that's the
Well,
inflection point.
I can see where the drains or manhole covers were before they buried them. They were already a good 2 or 3 feet higher. As long as they put.
So is that something you object looking at, their retaining wall?
I don't mind the retaining wall, because I put a fence in front of it, but I would like to see a decent buffer done there if it's gonna be substantially high, because it would be halfway, at least up a 6-foot stockade that I could put there, or replace there. Ours is falling apart. Yeah.
We'll make sure, like we have with the rest of the Bishop's Pond property, the landscape, so that you're separated from us.
Stephen Dubb.
Is there any further comment? Please.
Hello, Michael Jury at 159 Bishop Lane. I received the notice as well, and I'm just curious to see the plans. I don't know if our property or how close they connect, but I would like to see them.
Could you unfold those again?
so where are you, Mike?
Bishop Lane.
Why not just adjourn the public meeting and let these people have the opportunity
To take a look at the,
This is McGee Street. This is the edge of the project that's been built.
So this is
You're north of it, right?
east of it. Yeah.
Right, you'd be east of the property.
Right.
So that's the edge, the back edge of the site.
So I'm right here. So what is this? This is the retaining wall?
Correct.
Yeah. That's fine. I'm
Rather than
I'm
force
further
you to
south
decide
than
whether you like it or not in the next 10 seconds, I think we should, in view of the fact we've already had 3 people who have come tonight, we should hold the public hearing open, give everybody an opportunity to look at the plans at the building department, and reopen the public hearing at the next meeting.
or just keep it open?
Keep it open. It's just no reason you have to decide whether you like it or not in the next 10 seconds. I think it's putting too much pressure on you.
yeah, that's right. Okay. Thank you. Did you wish to have my name?
So, Mr. Gilmartin, if that's acceptable to you, we'd like to hold a public hearing open until the next meeting so that more people have a chance to review the plans. Do I have a motion to that effect, Steve?
So moved, adjourned for all purposes,
At the request of the
at
applicant.
the request of the
And
applicant.
these revised plans will be in the building department tomorrow? So folks can take a look at them?
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. In
You get it?
in subdivision review, any news on your efforts, John?
Thank you for your letter. I paid to have the health department approval renewed, and I have a bit of a glimmer of
Excuse me,
hope.
John, could you get to the
I'm
microphone so
sorry.
Warren
I
can hear?
apologize.
Thanks.
I'm sorry. I
Thanks.
should have known better. Sorry, I apologize. I thank you for your letter. I paid to have the health department approval renewed for a year, and had a bit of a glimmer of hope with one of the board members, and I'm continuing my efforts to be frank with you, bring them around to what I think is an objectively reasonable position. So I would ask you to adjourn it if you could for a month.
I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the OIA Associates, 212 Windmill Lane.
I second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do you have a decision for R. John Punna, 220 Hampton Road, Bo?
What happened there, Roy, is a little bit of a crack falling through issue for the last meeting. We actually had a written decision which was approved by the board at the June meeting, but Kathy wasn't there, and when she referred to the decision, she was talking about the sketch plan I did contact Mr. Flanagan today, and the applicant is in front of the health department now for some indefinite period of time, and will have to come back when that is clarified for the final phase, for the final map approval.
I really don't think it even needs to be on the agenda at the moment, because we have to go to the health department, so if you can leave it on or not, but there's nothing further for you to do at this point.
We'll just adjourn for all purposes. We have to keep it on, right?
Adjourn it to September.
Okay. I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the R. John Punnett 220 Hampton Road application.
I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
550 and 554 Hill Street has been adjourned until the August regularly scheduled meeting. PEP2 Holdings, 200 David White's Lane.
For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Fowl Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill. With respect to this, we've submitted an updated EAF site plan that has the turning radius, a lighting plan, architectural drawings, and there is a landscape plan in your file. I know that we have some issues with respect to the transition yard to work out. I think that those are minor. I understand that the board got a letter from Christopher Broich, who lives directly adjacent to the property and is impacted by the transition yard, and he had no issues with the proposal as we have submitted. I'd ask that we just set this for a public hearing. I believe we've worked out most of the issues, and if there are any with respect to transition yard, we can work those out as we move forward.
Do you happen to have a copy of the landscape plan?
I don't think I brought the file that had it. I do have a lot of, I do have a couple of red welds on this. I understand that there was some, one of a prior tenant had put some leaf clippings and stuff in the transition yard, and we'd certainly get those out of the transition yard. We just object to the fence. But again, I think that's a minor issue that we can work out as we go forward. If we think, you know, the major issues, we've submitted the documentation. If we could just set it for a public hearing.
The issues that were outstanding were, as Mr. Gilmartin says, related to the landscaping. And so I think having a public hearing makes sense. We can hear from the neighbors, and we can work out. I'll go through our memo and see if there's any outstanding items. We do have 2 applications on this, so look for council's recommendation as far as scheduling a joint public hearing on the subdivision as well as the site plan, or if we have to do them separately for any reason.
At the moment, I see them being separate, but
Well, we'll do 2 public hearings, and one right after the other. However you want to do it procedurally.
Well, we're ready to, we're going to have the public hearing at the
we
next
ready to go
meeting.
for the site plan public hearing? Is there any conditions to that, Kathy?
They're both the same, I mean, as far as there are, you know, some minor outstanding items on each of the applications that we're asking for clarification, so there's no reason we can't have a public hearing on that.
Yeah,
would say.
I mean, you could do one mailing, but identify one as the subdivision, Dave, and the other as the site plan, I think.
Certainly.
Make a motion at the request of the applicant to schedule a public hearing for the August public meeting on PEP2 Holdings LLC, the subdivision, and PEP2 Holdings LLC, the site plan review.
Second that?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Harkonnen and Atreides, 408 First Neck Lane.
I believe this is ready for sketch plan approval. It's a 2-lot subdivision. I think we've taken care of everything. I mean, of course, I'll have to come back to you for final approval when we obtain the health department approval, which is being processed by both Squires Holden and InterScience, but I think you're ready for sketch plan approval. Pretty straightforward, two lot division, about 8.3 acres. Carving off a 80,000 2-square-foot lot in the front on First Neck Lane. The health department is just making us, as they do, upgrade the sanitary systems for all the structures before they give subdivision approval. So we're in the garage apartment is pursuant to the condition of a recent zoning board of appeals decision, which allowed an expansion of the guest house going to be removed before the certificate of occupancy can be issued for the expanded guest house. So there'll be one less unit of density on the one less habitable space on the property. The garage apartment was about 450, don't hold me to the square footage please, but the garage apartment was about 450 square feet, the apartment part of it. We were adding about, I think, 5 square feet more to the guest house, so it ended up being a wash. But you'll only have, on the 5-acre lot, you'll only have 2 habitable units, the main house and the guest house. But the guest house is going to be removed, and the pool house isn't habitable. I mean, when I say it isn't habitable, it doesn't have any bedrooms or cooking facilities or anything like that.
And they also asked for an upgraded sanitary system for that as well?
Everything.
Wow.
I don't know where they get that jurisdiction, but it takes too long to fight it.
They enjoy it.
Yeah. I don't know how they make you upgrade your pre-existing sanitary on a subdivision application, but that would be, takes too long to argue that. So, but I think from your point of view, you're okay for sketch plan approval.
You're happy? Any further questions from the board? Okay. Thanks, John.
Thank you.
So we'll adjourn this for all purposes pending decision at the next meeting.
Great.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn for all purposes the Harkinen and Atreides 408 First Neck Lane.
As per my request.
At the request of the applicant, until the August public meeting.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
With regard to the next application, Damon Metzakappa, 430, 420 Halsey Neck Lane, and 139 Cooper's Neck Lane, we are in receipt of a letter from the applicant indicating that they have met with Kathy Eisman and have indicated a willingness to work with the board in terms of modifying their plan to allow for some maintaining of some open space in the subdivision, which is glad to hear about that. They've requested an adjournment until August to allow time for that plan to be revised in that manner. So in view of that, might I have a motion to adjourn at the request of the applicant?
I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the Damon Metzakappa 430, 420 Halsey Neck Lane and 139 Cooper's Neck Lane application.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 It's very, very favorable.
I think we've decided that Chabad we're not even, it's
Correct.
just bubbling along, so. Elizabeth Johnke, 483 Hill Street.
I think we owe you a map showing the agreed to reduced length of the the access easement. And unfortunately, I thought I would have that by now, but I don't have it. So if you could adjourn it at my request.
Make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the Elizabeth Janke 483 Hill Street application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Pelosi, Iotto, and Roller, 50 County Road 39.
The only outstanding item on this matter was a traffic report that we have done from Dunn Engineering, so I'll submit that. I think that was the only outstanding item that, if you remember, the board had reopened it so that an objectant could put in an engineering report and then left us with the opportunity to rebut. I'm not going to try and profess to know anything about traffic and engineering, and so I'll leave that to Dunn, and I'd ask that the board close the hearing.
So this would be the response,
The response.
to Mr. Bregman's objections.
Correct.
So thank you for that, having provided that to the board. There is no other opportunity for any further comment, and we should...
Closed for decision.
I will make a motion to
Accept the report and just acknowledge that this concludes the extended period.
Make a motion at the request of the applicant to close the hearing for decision after receiving the Dunn Engineering traffic study and acknowledging that we had extended just for a period of written report for the applicant.
And have a second?
I'll second that.
All in,
Aye.
Aye.
all in favor?
Aye.
Crease Properties, 16 Windmill Lane.
For the applicant, David Gilmartin Jr., Farrell Fritz, 50 Station Road, Watermill. We just received a completed EAF today. We have floor plans that were requested by Nelson Pope, and we have a revised site plan to submit that I think is responsive to Nelson and Pope's memo. We'll submit that tomorrow. Have Kathy have a chance to look at it, and then talk about it at your next work session, and maybe schedule a public hearing for the month after. Thanks, accepted.
Make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the Crease Properties, 16 Windmill Lane application.
Thank you.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Donna Opplinger, 106 Prospect Street.
I spoke with Ms. Opplinger today about our memo dated May 29th. And she will be speaking with her neighbor to talk about getting a letter of support or get their input on the proposed expansion of 180 feet, 180 square feet. And she does know that she might have to go to the zoning board. We have to do the calculations based on if there are site plans for the two properties, then we can actually do an accurate calculation. And she knows where we're at with that. But I did, we talked about the request that the access be ADA compliant. She understands that. So she asked that I convey the message to the planning board that, we're working on it.
So she wants it to be adjourned?
Not so much in so many words, no, but yes.
Till
You didn't
to the
ask.
next meeting, or is she gonna need more time than that?
I would say the next meeting is fine because we can go back by then too.
Okay.
So you can request the adjournment from me if that's more proper, because I spoke with her.
I don't know if I can do that. I have to motion it. Make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the 106 Prospect Street application.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Real Estate Organization Belgium LLC, 477 First Neck Lane.
The applicant, John Bennett. It says new site plan application and lot line modification. I think technically all you're dealing with right now is the lot line modification.
Correct that.
Yeah, we might have filed a site plan application, but I haven't, mine hasn't paid the $22,000 application fee for the site plan application yet, so I expect that check in a couple of days. The site plan fees are arrived at by the amount of square footage that is going to be changed on the property. So for being a nice guy and revegetating all this property into native species, almost all of it, except for the building itself, it actually comes up to about 10 feet from the building. Since that is he's touching the property, that's the fee. But, so that's a long way of saying you're only dealing with a lot line modification.
So you did not
aspect of it.
file a site plan review?
I think we filed it, but the building department said they're not going to process it, which they can't until the fee. And this was just last week we were told this. So he's getting me. They're going to send a check. So, but I think you would just deal with the lot line modification aspect of it, which is taking that 30-foot strip from the Meltzer property and grafting it onto the ROB, as we call it, Real Estate Organization Belgium property. I know there were some issues about drainage, but it didn't really. We're in an area of wetlands. I think everyone finally agreed that there was no additional drainage necessary. The driveway's been there for forever.
I have a little bit to add. Aldo was concerned about the potential for runoff.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're not relocating the driveway,
Oh.
and that driveway is more than 125 feet setback from the wetlands, and they don't need a wetlands permit for that. That was not considered as part of the wetlands permit that the applicant received. They do have a whole revegetation plan associated with the proposed home expansion. This is part of it. It has. So this is from the zoning board file that Chip reviewed and prepared. I guess they prepared a wetlands permit for it.
Oh yeah, it was approved. Yeah, it was approved.
So this actually allows them to have less disturbance because they can keep the driveway on the Meltzer's property and not relocate it onto their property.
Although that's not to say that in the future he may not choose to meander it through. At which point, you might look at it, but.
And actually, that was part of they consider that as part of the wetlands application, but that's further away from the wetlands.
It's much further away.
Right.
That's right. So, and interestingly, the health department said that we didn't have to go to them for lot line modification because they just consider it merely the merger of two existing lots, which surprised the heck out of me. But so if
you have that,
have that going for us. No, which is nice. It was confirmed in an email, but you're right. Yeah, exactly. There's something that has to be worked out with the trustees, but that's not part of this application, actually. So it'd be nice if we could have the lot line modification approved.
It's actually,
So it sounds to me
it's
like you're
actually a
saying this
subdivision.
is-
I guess it's a subdivision under your regulations, under the village code. Yeah, it's actually a subdivision, yeah.
but the
Technically,
drainage isn't an issue.
yeah.
But we're so focused on that. We do a public meeting for this?
I don't know.
Isn't there there's an existing driveway there now, right?
There's a driveway there. No, it's not changing the land use at all.
So I'd say we can schedule it for a public meeting.
Or you could waive it. You can waive anything in the subdivision regulations. I don't know why you'd have a hearing for this. We've had a zoning board of appeals approval. We're still working out some landscaping issues with the neighbor to the, help me with that, Linda, to the east.
Yes.
Yeah, and that, before the ARB, and we'll have to come back on the actual site plan application for you to finalize and give your blessing on the landscaping pursuant to your site plan review authorities, but
It doesn't seem like there's any great rush here, though, so we might as well hold it open for a public hearing at the next meeting.
okay. Can we schedule it, or?
Schedule it for
Okay.
a public meeting.
Yeah, you're right, I still have to get DEC approval.
So if I could have a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to schedule a public hearing on the real estate organization Belgium 477 First Neck Lane to the August public meeting.
That'd be great.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks.
Okay, Beach Plum Meadows Limited Liability Corporation, 248 Moses Lane.
Again, for the applicant, Gilbert G. Flanagan, South Main Street, Southampton. This is an application that was filed for a sketch plan and hopefully a concurrent preliminary plat review for this 18-lot subdivision located on Moses Lane. Now, I see that about a week and a half ago, Mr. Cleary submitted a memo, which you had requested him to generate, which we got, I guess it was at the end of the week before, the 4th of July. We submitted it then to our consultants, and they have prepared a package which has been recently submitted. I don't know that you've had a chance to see it. I think only one was submitted, but I have some extra copies which I can either deliver to you tonight or I can give them to the building department tomorrow. I do have additional copies of the updated long environmental assessment form, which I can submit to you or submit tomorrow.
Better to do it at the building department, Gail, so
Okay.
processes through their system.
Right, so we have attempted to address the concerns raised by your consultant, and if he has any questions, we'd certainly be happy to pursue them further with our engineer.
So
We
you've
would
revised the plan in response to?
Yes,
that?
yes, we have. Yes, we have. Taken a number of his comments into consideration. We've redesigned the road and done some other changes to some of the lots. There's also an analysis of how sanitary systems will be designed for this project to meet the health department's requirements, either by acquiring Pine Barrens credits or a similar use, or possibly even by providing an on-site disposal system. So we've attempted to take a fairly hard look at what your consultant has done, and we hope that that will address his concerns. This isn't a public hearing yet, as you probably know. We have wished to schedule a public hearing as soon as you can, but I could understand if you want some additional time to review these materials. That's about all I have to say. I do have my client here if there are any technical questions at
You
this
have had no
point.
chance to review this,
Yeah,
right?
Mr. Chairman, I will commend the applicant for promptly responding to the comments. We had, as you know, a very thorough response memorandum, but I just want to touch on two issues that were of primary concern. The first was, as you heard, the density issue with the health department. So they are, as you heard, proposing to use transfer development right credits, and in the alternative, would propose a community sewage system. So that's how they are dealing with that. That was unclear in the initial submission. And the second primary issue related to the design of the roadway and the fact that it went to the rear property line. And the applicant is sticking. That's what they want to go with. They are not making any major changes to that roadway configuration, which probably would have affected the density of the subdivision one way or another. So they have explained ways in which they are dealing with some of those issues. Many of the other issues, as you heard, have been addressed on the plans. We'll take on.
Well, as Mr. Gil pointed out, it's not a public meeting, but there are a number of items of correspondence already addressed to the board regarding this application.
I saw them this evening. Most of those issues, Mr. Chairman, are related to the connection of a through street That is not proposed, that is not in this scheme in any way, and we've not suggested that's a way to deal with this at this point. So that's not before you. Through streets not being considered.
Do you have copies of this? No, you,
Okay.
do you have copies?
Extra
of-
copies?
Yeah, because we didn't get them in our packets.
I don't. You can put into it.
They can email them to us?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, no, this is different. Okay. I thought I saw a copy of it in the package. I think it was in the package for the work session, wasn't it?
It was.
Oh.
Yeah. June 26th memo.
Yeah.
Should have been in your last copy.
Oh, because this was,
I remember seeing
okay,
it.
yeah, and it's stamped today. I don't know why,
We'll
but
get you.
anyway, if we have it last week, then we should all have had it last week. We don't have it tonight.
Make sure you have it there.
Seen this?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's this one, right?
That's the one.
Yeah. I got it in the package.
So we have it from last
That's
week?
the Cleary
Yeah.
report.
That's Mr. Cleary.
That's good.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman, I don't think there's any action you can take.
Right.
The material has to be
So
reviewed.
for all those of you who are here who are interested in this application, you can now see the revised plans at the building department. You can see Pat's questions about the original application. You can see the applicant's response to those questions. And at some point in time in the future, we will have public hearings, and at that point, you will be able to make your concerns known. As I said, we've received correspondence from many of you about some of the issues, which will be taken into consideration as well. But tonight, having just received the applicant's response, there's nothing more to be done until we have a chance to review what he's changed and see where we are with that.
Can you possibly tell people when visits come back, though?
I think you'll be notified by mail if you're a neighbor
All the people.
for
not just
a
the
public
family
hearing,
who live there,
right?
All the people.
Roy, I think notwithstanding what you've just said, which I think is very pertinent, but just, I think you ought to recognize anybody who has any comments here tonight, since they have attended. And it is appropriate for the board to see.
To have public hearing?
Well, it's not a public hearing, but the public is in attendance, and normally you'd say, is there any public comment at any hearing? So again, if somebody, hopefully it's related to issues that
Okay,
you've not already addressed.
well, we can do that then. Sir,
Thank you, Mrs. Stevenson. Paul Newthaler.
if you could come to the
microphone, please.
microphone.
Sure.
Thank you. Paul Newthaler, 90 Howell Street. I'm not terribly architecturally sophisticated, but I want to ask this gentleman here if the streets he was referring to included on Howell Street, which is the dead-end street that abuts Guilfoyle. And did I understand correctly that you have no intention or thoughts about doing anything with that?
The applicant's not proposing to access the property from the other side of Guilfoyle. There's a loop roadway that's
Yes.
coming in from the front.
Right.
No access to those existing streets.
Okay,
as proposed by the applicant.
and that proposal is not subject to change, or is it subject to
Everything's
change?
subject to change. So
Uh-huh.
that's the applicant's original proposal.
Mhm.
We've, as you heard from the chairman, provided technical review comments. That's before the board right now. You can have access to those to see what our initial comments were.
Mhm.
And then you'll have a chance to tell us if we're on the right track or if you want changes made.
Fine, thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Valerie Hart, 218 Corrigan. I'm just going to read this because it's easier, because it's a major subdivision. So because of the significant and adverse environment impacts of this application, it should be deemed a type 1 action and given a pause deck. And a full environmental impact statement should be required of the developers before any site plan or subdivision is approved. And then I have some questions. In regard to, since it is a major subdivision, you're going to have a review of the subdivision review, and also the site plan review, or how does that work exactly?
This doesn't require site plan approval, it's simply a subdivision.
Okay, so it's in the application now as a site plan. So then when it goes to the public hearing, it's a subdivision? Or?
This is a subdivision, so that's.
So this is a subdivision now?
It is. That's the application that's before the board. It's, if that's in the accuracy, if it says site plan.
It says site plan on the.
Sketch plan review.
Okay, it's
It says site.
subdivision sketch plan review, that's where we are at the moment.
Okay.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Jacqueline Skrubinski, I live at 76 Fox Hollow Lane. I'm just wanted you to clarify where the access road will be in and out of the development, because it wasn't clear from what you said. Yes.
You got an unfolding maps.
Yes, that's great.
So on Moses Lane, so it's a loop road in and out.
So where will you
So-
come in? Oh, right on Guilfoyle? You
Yep.
can't, you're going in on Guilfoyle?
No, Guilfoyle's the next one down.
Right, so you're going to create another road here.
They
They,
are
not
proposing
you.
that. So that, this is a brand-new road that loops into the
Okay.
property. So this is Guilfoyle on the other
Right.
side?
So it'll be right across the street from some houses that sit right here.
Fox Hollow Lane?
Yeah, I'm on Fox Hollow. Okay. And what about sidewalks?
They have revised the plan, and now they include new sidewalks on Moses and new sidewalks on.
We're hoping that won't happen because it's a sidewalk to nowhere and it doesn't sort of fit in with the whole environment of the village. So we would like to see that abandoned. Thank you.
Elma Hawkins, 84 Fox Hollow Lane. I would just like to ask a question about some parkland, whether that has been set aside.
That was an initial question. There is no park set aside provided on the property. And I believe the applicant has indicated that they are proposing an alternative to that. And again, forgive me because this has just recently been submitted. That involves dedicating a pedestrian path.
What? That's not good.
So again, this is just the applicant's response to our concerns, the same concerns you've expressed. And we'll learn more about that as we proceed with the process.
And then am I correct in saying that concerns we have to this plan, to the road, the access road, for example, we can make our arguments on paper and submit that to you?
Yes.
Because we almost had an accident right on Moses Lane just last week, on Monday evening this time, when I tried to go into this exact place. So I would like you actually to be aware of that. We slowed down to understand where the access road might be. A car came right by, whizzed right by over to the other lane, and there was an oncoming cyclist who almost got killed. So please keep that in mind.
And to answer Stevenson's question is that anybody interested in this should attend every meeting.
Okay.
Any further comment this evening?
Hi, Paul Bolo, 95 Fox Hollow Lane. One of the things, I understand this is an 18-lot subdivision based off of the overall size of that lot. I guess that's the yield of what you can get in R20. One of the things I think the board should look at is adjacent on the opposite north of this piece of land, there's Southampton Meadows subdivision, which is outside of the village, which is in the town. And the town, in order for the developers of Southampton Meadows, in order for them to get approval for their half-acre subdivision, they did donate or create a pasture adjacent to the south, to the north side of the train track, south side of the development. So, one of my questions is this: that every lot that sells in Southampton Village, there's a tax, a CPF, Community Preservation Fund tax that's used, and I'm wondering if the village or any of you have thought of how much of that CPF, how much of the CPF dollars that are generated in total are generated on transactions that occur in Southampton Village, and if the CPF, Mary Wilson, the attorney that's in charge of the Community Preservation Fund, if you've considered the amount of money that's generated in the village alone and applying that towards, say, purchasing a percentage of it in order to make it a park or open space. Thank you.
Good point.
Well, that's a great point, but not really the, unfortunately, we don't get to decide that in this board, but certainly, as a resident of the village myself, I find that quite a few of the dollars that are raised in the village don't get spent preserving land in the village. But you don't have much control over that. It's controlled by other organizations.
Is there a is there a buffer between the train tracks and this for 50 foot?
I think it's less than that.
Okay. But there is some type of a planted buffer?
There's a planted buffer, and there's a narrow strip
Mm-hmm.
between the edge of the road right-of-way and the back of the property. It looks to be maybe 10 or 15 feet.
10 or 15 feet, okay.
Sure, for all purposes until?
Mr. Chairman, if I could just make one brief comment. There were some suggestions made about the environmental impacts of this possible development. I would point out that we believe that it's an unlisted action. And as you also know, we've submitted additional information that goes over and above the normal environmental submissions which you typically see, including a traffic study, which we did in conjunction with the proposed multifamily project, and also a stage 1 archaeological investigation. So we've done an awful lot over and above what would normally be done. So I just want to make sure that we are on the right environmental classification track.
One more question. It's about the park space. I don't think under the park space, under the site review, the park space comes up. But I think under the subdivision, the park space comes up. And it is something in regard to park space or cash in lieu of the park space. So it is a major concern of a lot of people.
No, there's no question that it's one of the large chunk of land, and it's one of the duties of this board to try and preserve or have consideration for recreational and park availability.
True.
So certainly something we will take into consideration.
Right, because you're looking at the Suffolk County that deals in the health issues, I guess, and they're saying that it should be 1 acre sites. So when you take everything into consideration, there probably should be some park space set aside if you're going to go with the half-acre sites. So.
Thank you.
Do we want to go right to public hearing?
I think we need some additional information and to review the material that we've gotten
Okay.
this week.
I think if there's no further comment, Mr. Flanagan, there's obviously a lot of issues to be addressed here, so I'd like to, with your approval, adjourn this until the next meeting.
Okay, with the hope that we can then maybe move towards a public hearing.
Once we resolve the issues between the figuring out of the changes you've made, I just think it's hard to have a public meeting when we don't know where we're at with the changes yet.
Okay, I'll make a motion at the request of the applicant to adjourn for all purposes the Beach Plum Meadows LLC 248 Moses Lane application.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The last item on the agenda is 9 Main Street. That has been adjourned at the request of the applicant to the August meeting.
Adjourned? Was it adjourned? Yeah, till August, right, at the work session.
That concludes the business of this meeting, except for minute approvals. Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes from April 28th, May 27th, June 2nd, and June 30th.
I didn't do June 30th yet, but we can do the other three.
Ed?
I actually don't think I did, not yet.
It's June 30th? Yeah, I didn't say the June 30th.
So I think we've just got April 28th, May 27th, and June 2nd. Has everyone read those and any changes? Could I have a motion to approve those minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes of April 28th, May 27th, and June 2nd.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. With that, nothing else to be done. May I have a motion to close the meeting?
I'll make a motion to close the meeting.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.